Hello everyone, this is me, Umair Ali, and you are watching me. So in today's lecture, we are actually dealing with two kinds of rights. The first one is human rights and the second one is fundamental rights. So according to 1973 Constitution, there is a part of fundamental rights. But before starting these fundamental rights, I would like to put the distinction between fundamental rights and human rights. So in this lecture, we are gonna take a look for disentangling rights, which means that there are two kinds of rights. The one is human rights and the second one is fundamental rights. So we have to make sure what are the distinctions and what are the main points that draw the difference between fundamental rights and human rights. So human rights, these are universal guarantees you hold simply because you are a human being. So by virtue of human beings, whatever right you have, we call it human rights. And fundamental rights are specific legal protections guaranteed by a country's constitution. So human right is these are those rights which we are entitled by virtue of human beings, and fundamentals, these are only those rights which are guaranteed by the constitution, country's constitution. Okay, so moving to the next slides, we can say that all fundamental rights are human rights, but all human rights are classified as fundamental rights. So it means that all fundamental rights are human rights, but all human rights are not fundamental rights. Human rights belong to everyone from birth, regardless of nationality or background. So if you are a human, so it has no concern that where you belong, what is your caste and what is your religion, but you have some rights by virtue of your birth as a human. So we call it human rights. Whereas fundamental rights, core freedoms, the government explicitly promised to its own citizens. So it is nationality based, it is country based, it is state based. And if you take birth in that state, so your constitution gives you some rights, and these are known as fundamental rights. Okay. Now the structural differences across five dimensions of protection. So we have five main differences, that is scope, source, enforcement, beneficiaries, geography. So human rights are global and universal. It applies to every human being and each and every part of the world. Whereas fundamental rights is country specific. Like if you are living in India, so India's constitution will give you such protection, but in Pakistan, such protection is not given to you. So it is country based, country specific. Source, international law and morals are the actual source of human rights, and national constitutions are the core source of fundamental rights. Whereas the enforcement harder to enforce globally. So it is very tough for a person to enforce his human rights across the world. Whereas fundamental rights enforced strictly by local courts like high courts, it's Supreme Court, etc. Beneficiaries, who get them? Every person on the world is entitled to human rights, but citizens of the specific nation is only entitled to fundamental rights. Okay. Geography, travel with you across borders. Where you go, you carry your human rights. But when fundamental rights stop, so it stops at the national border. Like if you are a citizen of Pakistan and if you leave that country, so you are not supposed to carry such fundamental rights to England, to America, etc. So once you get out to the boundary, so your fundamental rights is going to stop. But when it is regarding human rights, so you carry it each and every place on the world. Okay. Now the mechanism of justice vary drastically in speed and power. Human rights violation often rely on international pressure or bodies like the United Nations to step in, making them harder to enforce quickly. So it is a gradual process. If you want to enforce your human rights, so it is much slow and much tougher process. But if someone violates your fundamental rights, you can take them directly to your country's high court for immediate justice. So it is very easy to enforce your fundamental right, and it is very hard to enforce your human rights. Okay. Now fundamental rights stop at the border. Human rights travel with you. So again, if you are in one country and you leave such country and you shifted or you move to the next country, so your human rights do not change when you cross the border. So you carry it all over the world. But a fundamental right you have in one country might not exist in another. So once you travel from the border, so your fundamental right is not going to work anymore. You cannot carry it from one state to another state, mapping the right to their corresponding spheres. Okay, so this is the final example. Human rights are the broad to life, dignity, clean water. These are human rights. You can carry it all over the world. But fundamental rights are the right to free speech, freedom of religion, the right to vote and local election. Now the main reason that why fundamental rights cannot be carried around across the world. So reason that why fundamental rights stop when you cross the border. So this is actually each and every state has their own constitution. So it means that each constitution is gonna give specific fundamental rights to its own citizen. So if a constitution of Pakistan give you some fundamental rights, so other constitution is not supposed to give such right as it is. So that's why fundamental rights is only state restricted and human rights are universal. So that's why. Now, while clean water is a human right, enforcing a violation relies on global consent. Conversely, free speech is a fundamental right, actively granted and rapidly enforced by the constitution of the nation you inhabit. So this was all about the human rights and the fundamental rights. Thank you for watching.